Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your source for the finest 2A propaganda. Today we're going to try something a little different, a little experimental. I hope you will bear with me. It may be a little awkward. I kind of suck at this sort of format, so I hope you will forgive me. But the purpose is to try to bring you stuff that's a little bit more timely. And hopefully, if we can get it working right, maybe we'll be able to bring you more episodes per week. That's not to say that we will stop doing the more produced, green screen, meme-heavy, clip-heavy stuff. I like doing that, and it gives us the opportunity to give you a more thoughtful analysis of the stuff that's happened in the news, but the downside to it is that it doesn't let us be super responsive and tell you about things that happened today. So, to that end, I'd like to tell you about something that happened this morning to a sport ball player. Now, if you follow the sport ball, you will know who Adrian Peterson is. He was arrested this morning on charges of DWI and UCW. UCW, of course, stands for unlawful carry of a weapon. In Texas, it is unlawful for you to have a gun while you commit any other crime, and it's also unlawful to have a firearm while you are intoxicated. Peterson's 0.14 blood alcohol content rating definitely means the state has a good case for the DWI, and of course a trooper stopping you for speed is a tale as old as time, but it should still upset you that the simple presence of a firearm can cause you to lose your freedom. Of course, you cannot possibly lose your 2A rights because your right to bear arms is a fundamental human right granted by your creator and enshrined within the Constitution, but not granted by it because no mortal man has the authority to grant or revoke your rights. However, if you mess up, the law will absolutely violate your rights. And of course, Peterson is staring down the barrel of his rights being violated. Unlawful carry of a weapon per Texas law is a Class A misdemeanor, but in certain circumstances it can be a felony. If the DA decides to make this one a felony variety, our former footballer is facing potentially forever being disarmed by allegedly one of the most gun-friendly states inside one of the most gun-friendly circuit courts in the nation. I hope Mr. Peterson gets some good legal representation. Being a former sport ball player, he should be able to afford it. If he's able to fight these charges successfully, it will be a win for all of us because the state has no business infringing on our right to bear arms. But hey, it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors, so let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by Hornady.
The 338 Advanced Rifle Cartridge. Purposefully designed for hard-hitting subsonic performance, the 338 ARC delivers 1.5 times more energy than the 300 Blackout subsonic. Featuring the 307-grain Sub-X bullet in the subsonic line and the 175-grain hollow point in Hornady Black. The big little cartridge that packs a punch. The 338 ARC from Hornady.
The United States Supreme Court issued certiorari in the case of U.S. versus Hemani, which is a case involving someone suspected of doing a terrorism and going out and partying with weed and blow and getting caught with guns and stuff. But just because the Supremes issued cert in a gun case, that doesn't mean it's a good thing. Like Rahimi, this guy is not exactly sympathetic. He's suspected of doing a terrorism. He's out there partying, weed and coke and all of that. But the question comes down to whether the U.S. government has the authority to deny someone's rights, to violate someone's rights based on other minor offenses. Remember that the question here isn't about the suspected terrorisms. The question here is about, is somebody who had some weed at some point in time supposed to go to prison just for having a firearm? Again, it's not a question of him doing something wrong with the gun. It's a question of him having a thing and having another thing. And I would say that you should never have your rights violated just for having a thing. If you're not familiar with the Rahimi ruling, the plaintiff was found to be in possession of a firearm while he was subject to a domestic violence protective order. He won on appeal in the circuit court, but the Supreme Court found his prohibition was constitutional, and that case law has been leveraged in red flag laws ever since. In this case, Hemani was found to have ties to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Gun rights are human rights and should have no limitation. There's not a lot of gundustry news this week following all the shenanigans with Glock last week, but there is a new Ruger rifle coming out. The new Ruger American Gen 2 will be available in .22 ARC, .223, .6.5, and .308. These detachable magazine-fed bolt guns sport a fluted and threaded barrel, prepping for the inevitable influx of cheaper cans when the tax stamp goes to zero at the beginning of this year. They also feature a 3-lug 70-degree bolt throw to allow for better optics clearance and interchangeable inserts for both comb height and length of pull to accommodate big and little fellas alike. YouTube hates me, so I can't tell you how much they'll cost, but if you had 730 gummy peach rings, you might be able to put your hands on one. Shout out to the ARFCOMer Real War for sharing this bit of sketchiness, which is par for the course in GD. This brave soul gave life to the Wrist Wrecker 5000, which is a bolt-action slide for a standard 1911 chambered in the audacious 50 BMG. And we'd like to thank Aimless for the chuckle of the day. He brought us this nugget from the web called the Slapoline. You can thank General Discussion for both these gems. Well, thanks for being patient with me with this new experimental format. Like I said, hopefully this will allow us to both bring you more episodes per week as well as responding to news items as they happen more quickly. We will, of course, like I said, we'll continue to create the green screen, more produced episodes with lots of memes like you're used to seeing, but in the meantime, please let us know what you think about this new format as well. And as always, if you would like to help us keep delivering you pure uncut American propaganda at the low price of $3.99, do us a solid and get something nice from our sponsors, because after all, we literally couldn't pay the bills without them. I love you.